Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Sonic 2006. Sonic's Flame Core was a tedious and boring affair with many instances of copy-pasted rooms and an awful Knuckles segment. If we compare it to what we'll see here, I think it's clear that the level was designed for Silver first, and Sonic got some awkwardly made interstitial segments joining together rooms that clearly work much better for someone who can float. Does that mean that Silver's Flame Core is more fun than Sonic's? Well, let's take things as they come, shall we? As we start off here, we can see that there is a lot more direct platforming, and as I just said, it does work better for someone who can float with the moving platforms and such, because you can correct mistakes more easily. This one here is one of the main gimmicks for this level, and I don't like it at all, because these platforms here rise up in a way that they go much higher than Silver's natural jump height, so that means that you have to basically know where they're going to rise to already before you can follow their path along. Which is really stupid. Basically, the first time you do this, you will miss these jumps. Like here, for example, even knowing that it works, it is so tight. I've never made this jump up there. You only get the ring box, so it doesn't really matter. You get a shortcut, so you don't have to do this weird-ass segment here. It's really strange. And I don't hate it. It's really easy, but it's really strange. It's much better than Sonic's part running around here at the very least. But you can shortcut from the very start of the level, so it doesn't really matter. Like the silver metal part looks like it would be a shortcut, but it's not. It's just longer. If you want to do this as quickly as possible, just don't bother with it. It's really stupid. Anyway, we see an immediate problem here. I killed the giant protecting the cage, and it spawned more enemies in, which I also had to kill to protect the cage. And it was just 3 birds, which is not the big deal. I mean, they hit me, but I'm gonna keep getting hit, because fighting Iblis enemies is awful like that. But there is no reason for those birds to exist. Like, they don't add anything. The giant is ostensibly a harder enemy, and the birds are awful to fight. They're just really annoying to deal with. I mean, so are most Iblis enemies, and this is the biggest issue of this level compared to Kingdom Valley. First of all, it's not nearly as open, and second of all, fighting Iblis enemies as Silver is just not that fun. You have to kill everything with a Psycho Shock basically, or with projectiles from far enough away. Otherwise, you're just not gonna have a good time. Most of them are not supplying you with enough projectiles quickly enough, and even if they do, as we've seen in Crisis City with the birds, it often doesn't work out at all. And generally, the birds are most of the annoying enemies here, because they are pretty hard to get a grasp on where they are in relation to you. You don't really know how big your Psycho Shock hitbox actually is, so you might hit them or you might not. And their projectiles is very hard to counter them with them, because they come very quickly. You can't really see them coming in comparison to the missiles. And again, if you are not close enough, if you are too close to the birds with the projectile, they just don't take any damage. This one here is particularly annoying, because you have to turn the camera to even see what's happening. And yes, again, it rises a little bit above Silver's maximum jump height. Your reward is this invincibility, which is as any invincibility really in this entire game, completely wasted, because there's barely anything to use it on, and I mean, you can't jump with it in the lava, so good job, I guess. This one here is a little bit sneaky, but it's the exact same position as Sonic's, so that's a bit weird. It allows us to get this ring box, which there is another way to get it, and I think I show it off in the S-rank run. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. These platforms make a lot more sense again for someone who can float. They very deliberately probably put enemies for Sonic there so that he can just skip all of this platform with homing attack chains. Because it's obviously built for Silver first, and then someone with, you know, acceptable but a little bit awkward platforming, especially in this engine, just is better off skipping it entirely. A big problem of this level as well is that it's always a little bit sloped, and most of the boxes can't deal with the slopes, and so can't the enemies. There is going to be a lot of instances of enemies I pick up and I want to throw them at other enemies. Oops, made a bit of a mistake here. But they just bounce harmlessly off the floor, or the enemies glitch into the floor themselves and then they die in it, and it's a bit weird. By the way, I had to wait for this box to respawn, and this is what was tripping me up here. Because you needed to get up to that silver medal, which is pretty hidden, granted that, but again, it's somewhat high up the waterfall, the lava fall. Nice ETD. And if you have seen that one in Sonic, this is basically a mirror to it. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe. Yeah, again, Psycho Shock on big groups of enemies is really, this is the level where it absolutely shines. It has been great before, but for the robots, see about the floor, for the robots it is fine to use their own missiles against them. But for the Iblis monsters like these ones here, for example, they don't even have projectiles, so what are you gonna do about it? You can slap them, of course, but that mostly only works if they turn around towards you, so that you can actually hit them. But for the birds, please, for the love of God, Psycho Shock away. It is good that it is so busted in this instance, and you have to keep doing it if you keep missing it, and yeah, again, it's not fun for the birds. There is also a persistent problem with Iblis enemies. I'm going to rant about a little bit more in the next video where we have a town mission featuring them, where they just can pop out of the ground all the time and hit you. The robots float in, but the Iblis enemies, they just jump out. And why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? Jesus Christ, I'm just gonna slap them then. See, another issue with those projectiles. They are just too slow and they don't explode. And then the engine really screws you. And why is there a third wave of enemies? I hate this. This room is absolutely tedious garbage. I really, really do not enjoy this. Because there is nothing in this wave that is in any way, shape or form more difficult, interesting or engaging than the previous one. It is just the same thing you've been doing for 2 waves already, you've been doing for the entire game. There is no variety in it, no clever things to do, you just Psycho Shock and kill, Psycho Shock and kill. You can try to work with the projectiles, sure, but it most of the time just doesn't work, and this is why I recommend strongly against it. Just Psycho Shock, don't try to be fancy. This one here is also a little bit awkward because the ledge on point for your grab is actually at the base of the enemy. So what I was doing there just didn't quite work out. Keep in mind the arrangement of the silver medal just handed to you on a silver platter directly on a psycho pad. Psychokinesis pad, yeah, let's go with that. We're going to see this like twice more because they clearly were running out of ideas with the silver medals here, which is a bit of a shame because I like the exploration for them. Yeah, can't have everything. You know, it's Flame Core. You might note that I'm skipping some platforms and there is no editing in this. I'm just going to show a full unbroken run for this and for the S-Rank run. There is going to be a few more extra routes for the S-Rank run, but for example, I'm not going down there. It's like you float from platform to platform. It's extremely self-explanatory. I hope that you will forgive me after the 42 minutes of Kingdom Valley that this one is already 34 minutes already. If I show off every single possible path you can float down there, we will be here for an hour and there is absolutely no entertainment value to be gained. If you want to see this level entirely, if you want to see every single corner and every single secret it has to offer, by all means please play it for yourself. It is not fun and I refuse to go this far. Oh, nice hit from above, which I could clearly see. You know, this is the meteor zone where just things keep dropping from above all the time, so that's fun. By the way, yeah, see for example this part of this side of the room we're not gonna see, but whatever. I don't care. You don't need this, you can just float over. I think I'm going to do this in the S-Rank run. It's maybe even safer because on this platform if you land you might get hit by the birds just as you land. Another chance to get hit out of this one here, if it works, out of the air, but no, too bad. Yeah, I really want to show this off at some point because I'm sure it's absolutely hilarious, but I've only heard horror stories of it happening. Hasn't happened to me yet. Anyway, Act 2. We start in one of these, which looks like it should be cinematic, but the fires too late. Or maybe I was falling too fast because I made a Psycho Shock input in this in the air. Anyway, let's fix the flames and wait for projectiles because the boxes are gone, and I didn't notice that I had picked up one of the projectiles. Another instance of how the projectiles of the Iblis enemies themselves are a bit of an issue, because you know, they are hard to see, especially in the lava background. It's not easy. And this room, so this makes a lot more sense for Silver to explore again. In this case, we activate the floating platforms with the psychokinesis. This is great. I tried to activate the glow orbs here and I don't quite get it. I will get it in the S rank run. Let me tell you, it is completely useless what they do. I will show it off in a second, but yeah, for now it's just like, oh yeah, I can destroy it, that's cool. And then the debris almost pushed me off the moving platform because that is how physics work, so that was fun. Mostly though, this room is just annoyingly dark and a little bit confusing to navigate, but generally you go upward and that's basically what you have to do. That's fine. A little bit too late on this guy here, but and we made it. Wonderful. That guy was preparing a slam attack, which seems like this big attack that deals a lot of damage, but because this is a Sonic game, you will always just get hit once and lose all your rings, so it doesn't really matter that it is a big wind-up, and he is completely vulnerable during it, so actually the purple giants might be easier to fight than the normal ones. The purple lizards with their lasers are actually quite difficult, and oh, there was a bit there, it was too dark, I couldn't see it, because the laser is quite annoying to dodge. On the other hand, if you are close to them, it is much easier to dodge because they're locked in place. What happened here? I don't know. Then it is easier, but they can snipe you, and maybe we will see some footage of that happening, which was quite frustrating at the very end of the video, so stay tuned until then. There is multiple instances of me getting a little bit confused onto where I actually was, and thank you, ball, almost killed me. But here is the exit, actually. It's where all of these enemies spawn, and again, Psycho Shock, everything at once, bam, done, easy. The purple birds are especially annoying because they take 2 shots to kill. As you can tell, they don't actually have projectiles themselves, they're not firing here. What they do is swoop in a melee attack, but these ones don't, which I'm glad for because it's really annoying. And then they get stunned for a bit and you can take them out much more easy. Hey, another silver medal on one of the psychokinesis pads, haven't seen that one before. But that just means that either you take them apart from the very far away with 2 shots of normal projectiles. You have a worm that thankfully provides the projectiles that deal more damage than one. Or you just suffer as they swoop in on you, constantly knocking you on your ass, costing you your rings, and it's just not fun to fight again. A persistent problem we had as well in Aquatic Base, but bear with me. This is a unique room for Silver, by the way. Again, makes perfect sense for him to have this style of room because Sonic could just go over there. This time I noticed that on the floor there were the dust particles, so I knew that there was a worm coming out. Also, this has happened to me quite a few times before. I wanted to shortcut through this room and was like, awesome, I'm just gonna reach the platform at the end and Psycho Shock the birds, and nope, you get hit by the worm. Silver is completely incapable of hitting this bird, so let's turn around the camera and oh my god, this is terrible. I can't really excuse this at all. Trying to have fun with this, but yeah, this is just where the game just completely breaks apart. There is something I was waiting for here, and there it is. We have to trigger these enemies to exist in what is a bit of an obscure silver medal. You have to kill everything in this room, including the enemies that have not spawned yet. Wonderful. Hey, another silver medal on one of these teleport pads. At the very least you have to... telekinesis pad. At the very least you had to work for it. And hey, did you like the last dark room with the floating platforms? Well, it's back in Porg form. This is basically the same room. I mean, Knuckles' room was pretty awful because you had to do this terrible gimmick, but at the very least it was something different, and here you just don't do anything else. This one is kind of fun. It spawns these 3 giants, which is like, oh my god, this is terrible because I'm surrounded by these difficult enemies, but you have the Psycho Shock and you can just stun them and instant kill them, so it doesn't really matter. So it's a freebie 3000 points plus these extra points here from all of the rings and the 1-up and the refill for some reason. I don't know why you would need to refill your meter, but it's there. It's cool. It's an optional thing to do, and it's not too hard and it goes by pretty quickly because the giants for some reason are the easiest enemies to kill as Silver. It makes no sense, but here we go. I promptly forget that it's actually there in the S rank because this is really confusing, but fortunately didn't need it. But if you ever have trouble in the S rank, keep that platform in mind. Yeah. Alright, here is the end of the room. Guarded, and I use that term very loosely, by a giant, which you can just take out with these boxes, very convenient. But I'm missing something, so I have to double back, and there it is. You see it, the silver medal all the way in the distance. Great. I don't mind these rooms too much. I think this one here is different enough from the first one. I just don't like that you can't see anything, and that ends up making it much more confusing than it has any business to be. Overall, this is fine. You know, Silver's platforming is fine because he jumps very high. He can float, of course, to correct any minor mistakes you might make or which the game might make for you, because it is 06 we're talking about. You have these ring capsules to explore for. You have to look for your best route to take, and yeah, you know, just my bumbling around shows off basically everything in this room, so that's nice. But the only issue is that sometimes you don't know which platform you just activated with your psychokinesis. Maybe they should have the camera adjust to those. Like, I don't know how to fix this basically. Or here, for example, where do I go? Camera, where do I go? Ah, up here. Wonderful. So it's just like the awkwardness of it all is mostly informed by this being 06. If this was like a finished, polished game, then this room would be perfectly fine. Like, you could just take your own route, go the right side up, go the left side up, explore a little bit around, look for all the ring boxes and so on. Try to get a high ring score, for example, at the end of the level. If you're going for high points or a high rank, would be great. But you know, again, it's 06, and this means that I can't guarantee that I won't get hit by some random dumb shit by the enemies. Because especially the birds, as I said, are just truly awful to work with, and that loses its luster quite a bit in the end. But it's not that bad. It's one of the better rooms in Flame Core. It's just a bit weird that we have exactly 2 of them, so you know. Butt clenching moment here, use an explosive box to go over here. It doesn't really matter if it's explosive or wooden, but you know, just another minor, yeah, this would be great if it didn't have to do that moment, but it's fine. Here I will use the projectiles of the worms to safely take them out. That is actually quite nice. If they fired fast, it would be more fluid, but you know, can't have everything. And another wave of enemies that spawns in because I don't know why. They just thought that more combat means more difficulty, and then these boxes spawn and the rings spawn, and I don't know why. Ah, oh, wait, that's why. Oh, brilliant, I love it. Getting hit right at the end, and the birds pessimate. Oh no, I have to go, I don't want to die in the final room, before the final room. But that means that this final silver unique challenge, like a mini-boss style thing, we have to do without getting hit. But it's fine, I can do it, it's okay. You just have to be patient. So this looks actually pretty cool. It's not amazingly fun, because you know, you have to wait, and you can break the camera a little bit by teleport dashing up the slope, but that's also fine. And you just have to stay behind these walls as it sends out the firing. I think this is particularly poorly conveyed. It's pretty much in line with how the game is, but basically the entire room turns into a death zone, which hurts you, and in my case would kill you because I have 0 rings, as long as the firing is on screen. You don't have to get hit by the firing itself, it's too high for that anyway. It's telegraphed by the ball getting hotter, visibly hotter, more red. And then it fires out, and while it's out, no matter where you are, as long as it is still there visibly on the screen, you will get hit if you are not in the safe zone behind these walls. So you might think, oh, the ring has passed overhead, so I can start floating. Don't do this. If it has not vanished into the wall, you will get hit as soon as you leave the safe zone. That is basically the biggest thing that can trip you up here. It is your own impatience, and I for sure have been tripped up heavily by my own impatience here, because good lord, it is 18 minutes in this level, and it's like, yeah, we have done some varied things, we have had some platforming and some combat, but we had so much combat, and I think everybody who played this casually at this point, that everybody who's let's playing at this point, is so glad for it to be over. This one here is a little bit weird, by the way, because you just have to hit it twice. Like you think you would have to just keep holding the button, but no, as we have learned, you don't have to hold the button. You have to hit it more often, and then it works. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Just like once to turn it off, I think, and then once to actually kill it, quote unquote. Anyway, final silver medal directly inside it. So like 5 of the silver medals in this level are completely free, are directly on your path, and only 5 of them you have to explore for it a little bit. And it's okay as far as quotas go. Most of them are a little bit uninspired, but you know, beggars can't be choosers after all. 18.5 minutes flame core. Whew. I still have the S rank to go. It's not much shorter, it's a little bit shorter. I get lost a little bit less, and I don't have to double back for some silver medals I missed. Stay tuned for that. First though, this is the final in-level silver medal, so that's nice as well. So 10 medals in every act stage. We're nearing the end, guys. Yeah, depending on how you think about silver, that's a great thing or that's a sad thing. See you after the cutscene.
Come on, Iblis! This time I'll finally stop you!
And there we go. That's actually a good question, isn't it? How do you feel about Silver in general now that we've seen his final level? Do you think that it's okay, that he has potential? Was I able to show that he can be fun? Or after those last 3 levels, do you think, ah man, this boy, I hate him and I would never want to play this game now that I've seen how terrible and tedious Silver's gameplay is? Let me know in the comments and, you know, do the rest of the stuff as well. Anyway, S-rank run, no more shilling. So, what do you do in the S-rank run for Flame Core? You can see that I was a little bit off. Wow, that was close. Impatience. I was just a little bit off. If I had kept the rings from the last room, this would actually have pushed me over. So, again, thank you very much for the ambush. Worm out of nowhere, really appreciate it. Yeah, in general, for this repeat of the run without the detours for the silver medal, just take the most direct path. Here, for example, that right side of the room is only for the silver medal. If you go directly through here, yes, you have the platform of enemies, but it's much easier to just go directly for it. It's absolutely no problem. As a reminder, you can stun them if they open their eyes, so wait for that to happen. Then the birds show up, as I now know. Like my first run was not completely blind, but almost. Yeah, it's not a complicated level, so that's why I'm much more knowledgeable about it in the silver medal run, just because I've done it once before. Yeah, most of it, the real issue with Flame Core basically is that most of it is so exceedingly linear. For silver you have a few rooms, the dark rooms, which would be okay to explore and take a different path in, but they shoot themselves in the foot because, again, they're dark and it's not fun to explore in the dark. You just want to be done with it, and there is not that much to gain anyway for exploring more rings. I guess a few, yeah, but only a few silver medals if you even care for those. So again, that's a bit, you know, do you really care for that? Do you really want to spend the time exploring? Like here, we got one up. That was nice behind there. Sure, I guess. Don't really need it at the end of this story, but especially not as we are replaying this from the menu, then you definitely don't need a 1-up. But I mean, 200 points, why not? So here again, could take a different path. Actually will take a different path, pardon me. For exploring, you get rewarded by another 1-up. If you're playing this casually, it's not a bad thing. Again, evil tongues would say that if the level designers don't really believe in their level and the fairness of it, they put 1-ups in to little bit gloss over that fact. But that would be, of course, naysaying, I say, because this level is not really hard. It's just the biggest problem is that sometimes you just make dumb mistakes because you're getting impatient and wow, this was close. I don't know if they like planned it for you to land directly outside the fire's hitbox or not, but don't know, lucky coincidence? Hopefully. Hopefully not, hopefully they planned for it. I mean, I want to give credit to the level designers. Anyway, we did take a different path through this room. So that was nice, wasn't it? And I don't think that it costs much time. I don't really know which is the fastest one. I don't optimize these S-rank runs. I just do them efficiently and try to reach the end quickly, and most of the time that works. For here, for example, you don't need the ring bonus, fortunately, because you keep getting hit by bullshit. You only need to survive to the end and take out most of the enemies on your path. Fortunately, the big big point enemies like the worms and the giants, they are gone in one hit if you stun them. So it's easy, 300 and 1000 points respectively. And as I said, there is like an optional island of 3 big giants and a lot of pickup boxes, which is like 4000 just from that island. And I don't even take this in the S-rank run, so it's fine. This is easy to get if you don't die, and if you follow my general route. In case you ever want to do this for yourself, then you shouldn't be able to die. You should not die in, as has been the case for most of these, if you know how the game works, it's not super difficult. And I was of the opinion when I started this that 06 had like the hardest S ranks in the entire Sonic franchise, probably because of how difficult it is to play the game in general. Because you know it is janky, sure. But now that I've gotten used to it, it gives you a surprising amount of leeway. Definitely much more than some other games I've tried after starting this. For example, I got Generations on 3DS, and that has extremely difficult S-rank requirements. Like you have to be 10 seconds off the speedrun world record in the first level at the very least to get the S-rank, which is crazy. It's like I watched that video of the speedrun and I was like, yeah, this is the exact route I have to take, I just need to be a little bit better, still haven't gotten it, it's crazy. I played Unleashed. I bought it for Xbox. I just remember that I had an Xbox so I can actually play it. It's really easy actually. And wow, that game is cool. It's really good, but it's also pretty tough to get the S-ranks in, because it actually expects you to be good in a speedy way and to search for the best routes, and it rewards exploration. And it's like, you know, this is a pretty good game in comparison to this one, which is, you know, pretty fun if you know how to do it, but yeah, it's not as good as other games. Let's not beat around the bush. And yeah, excuse my rambling here, but you know, I had to get through this combat section without boring you guys to tears, because you've seen it before. I'm taking another route here as well, so that's nice. Yep, wonderful. And up here, and it shoots you. Where does it go? Oh, here again. So you don't really gain much from there. I think I wasted a lot of time, but it doesn't really matter, because I'm still a lot more efficient in this one here, because I don't look for the silver medals. Don't get surprised by the third damn ambush of enemies. Could have killed the worm there just to be different, but I wanted this part to be done. And as you can see, you don't actually need to activate the telekinesis pad, so that's nice. Thank you also for the meteor. That also again means that any ring pickup before this room is basically wasted, because you can't expect to not get hit here. It's barely possible. I don't think it really is. Again, would be cool if the set piece here with the flames worked, but it doesn't. I have to kill all of these enemies to make sure that I don't get accosted when I hit the trigger to open the door. By the way, floating around these worms is actually really difficult without getting hit, because they tend to lunge at you to fire the projectile, and that gets you hit all the time. I was lucky here, or maybe I did it just exactly right. It depends on when they decide to use their attack. And here, by the way, this is how they work. You pick them up and then they light the path in front of you. But as soon as you let go of them, for example, like when you have to float, as you have to do all the time, then you break them immediately. And I wonder if this is meant to be like a sort of extra challenge, where you're just like, okay, you do this without floating, or you have to accept you don't see anything, because your floating turns basically off the light. Maybe. It would be interesting if I did it like this, but it's not fun. So I'm not interested in actually exploring this, basically. Because I much rather take the dark of the room over not having the ability to float, because it is very crucial for Silver. And yeah, again, picked up the projector too close to the worm, so I can't really hit him with it. So yeah, let's do this. Actually, I pronounced it wrong, right? It's worm, not worm. It's not a dragon. Sorry about that. Sometimes I notice that I'm not a native speaker. Anyway, this room. If you don't kill everything in the room, it's much easier, but I still want to take the bird's projectile to make sure that I have a bit of an easier time getting through the room without getting hit all the time. And I didn't actually want to throw it to the side, but good on you, Silver. Why not do it? Yeah. This one here is also a little bit annoying. I thought that I could just land on the platform and not go near the worm as it comes out, but they actually have a rather large exploding out of the ground hitbox. Which I don't appreciate at all, because again, most of the time you can't really see them coming. Even if you can see them coming, as you could see here, just standing away from them doesn't help most of the time. This was a bit annoying, because, you know, we're 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes in. I really don't want to die here, so I'm going to pussyfoot around a little bit for the next parts. Like here, for example, like, okay, so can I snipe these guys? No, not even one of them. Yeah, I'm just not gonna bother then, and this is where I skimp out on getting those extra points down there. Again, 100 per lizard, that's 2 of them, then 3000 from the big guys, and then 200 for the extra life, 200 for the refill, and 20 rings, which is another 200. So yeah, that's pretty much exactly 4000. Nice math. Yeah, but you don't have to, and again, appreciate that. Oh, oops, I didn't notice that this was actual lava and not floor because of the darkness, so it is getting to me. It is doing its purpose, it is confusing me. Is it fun? No, but it works as intended. Can't argue about that. It's just that the intention is dumb. I really don't like darkness in video games. I don't think anybody does, so I don't know why developers keep putting it into their games. It's just, yeah, whatever. But I'm shooting back. I'm using the light orb to destroy this guy. This time the boxes didn't want to cooperate, so it didn't really do anything, but hey, it's the thought that counts, isn't it? Would be fun if you could just, you know, throw your light as a last-ditch effort to kill enemies, because then you don't need it anymore, because the enemies will be gone afterwards, giving you a clear shot to the goal, but that's just not how it works. Anyway. Another thing I do appreciate about this level is that it has a very consistent gimmick with the platforms rising up. It uses silver pretty much as he's meant to be. He has the specific gimmick of those telekinesis pads on the floor. Yeah, no way I was not getting hit here, but at the very least I can do a multi-kill. It's hard to make something fun with those, you know, because you just hit the button and then stuff happens. But the level does an admirable job in trying to, at the very least, make it a little bit more interesting with the way that you have to basically activate them from a distance and immediately start hoofing it so that you don't get hit, so that they don't move away from you in the start of the level at the very least. Which goes to show as well that they were fully aware, something I haven't mentioned yet, they were fully aware that you only have to push the trigger a little bit. Because it seems intuitive that you have to hold it down until the movement of the boxes and so on is finished. But no, you just have to push it once and then immediately move while they move. And it's interesting that they canonize this kind of janky aspect here. That was really close, by the way. Really didn't want to die here because there is no way back up, I don't think. Yeah. But it is a bit interesting for me, and I do think that it is better than in some games, especially of this era, where they mask loading times, but also just other things by just having you press a button, hold a button pressed to open a door, or a mash on a button to open a treasure chest. Like God of War does it, and this like 1 year later, I think. And this is always just like, why do you do this? What possible engagement of the player do you offer here? By the way, a little shortcut here, you can skip one waiting around phase here safely. You can probably skip others as well. Watch the speedrun if you care. But 06 doesn't really do that in this instance, and many other instances as well. You push the button once and you could do something else while the action happens. It happens also in Kingdom Valley, where you open the bars. And a lot of those bars where you go through afterwards, they got opened basically on accident while I was fighting other enemies, and I appreciate that. So the game can be fluid just from the nature of its design. It just often is not, because, you know, it's 06. But here, for example, as well, control isn't taken away from you in this cutscene. You can keep floating towards the goal while it shows you that the orb crashes down. And I mean, another game with a more tight scripting that doesn't want you to die at the very last leg would probably take control away from you and would show this in a cutscene. But here, just the camera zooms out, and you can just do it. You can just float on while this action happens. I like that. It's a good thing to do it like this. Very easy S rank, as I said, just finish without dying. You didn't even need the ring bonus. Another 3,000, 4,000 freebie points on that one island I skipped, very easy. And that was it. Enjoy some failures on the way, and thank you very much for your attention.